Keeping errors at bay. Bertrand Russel, England, 1870 to 1970. To avoid the various foolish opinions to which mankind are prone, no superhuman genius is required. A few simple rules will keep you not from all error, but from silly error. If the matter is one that can be sheltered by observation, make the observation yourself. Aristotle could have avoided the mistake of thinking that women have fewer teeth than men by the simple device of asking Mrs. Aristotle to keep her mouth open while he counted. He did not do so because he thought he knew. Thinking that you know when in fact you don't is a fatal mistake to which we are all prone. I believe myself that hedgehogs eat black beetles because I have been told that they do. But if I were writing a book on the habits of hedgehogs, I should not commit myself until I had seen one enjoying this unappetizing diet. Aristotle, however, was less cautious. Ancient and medieval authors knew all about unicorns and salamanders. Not one of them thought it necessary to avoid dogmatic statements about them because he had never seen one of them. Many matters, however, are less easily brought to the test of experience. If, like most of mankind, you have passionate convictions on many such matters, there are ways in which you can make yourself aware of your own bias. If an opinion contrary to your own makes you angry, that is a sign that you are subconsciously aware of having no good reason for thinking as you do. If someone maintains that 2 and 2 are 5, or that Iceland is on the equator, you feel pity rather than anger. Unless you know so little of arithmetic or geography that his opinion shakes your own contrary conviction, the most savage controversies are those about matters as to which there is no evidence either way. Persecution is used in theology, not in arithmetic, because in arithmetic there is knowledge, but in theology there is only opinion. So, whenever you find yourself getting angry about the difference of opinion beyond your guard, you'll probably find on examination that your belief is going beyond what the evidence warrants. A good way of ridding yourself of certain kindness is dogmatism. Of dogmatism is to become aware of opinions held in social circles different from your own. When I was young, I lived much outside my own country in France, Germany, Italy, and the United States. I found this very profitable in diminishing the intensity of insular prejudice. If you cannot travel, seek out people with whom you disagree and read a newspaper belonging to a party that is not yours. If the people and the newspaper seem mad, perverse, and wicked, remind yourself that you seem so to them. In this opinion, both parties may be right, but they can both be wrong. This reflection should generate a certain caution. Becoming aware of foreign customs, however, does not always have a beneficial effect. In the 17th century, when the Manchus conquered China, it was the custom among the Chinese for the women to have small feet, and among the Manchus for the men to wear pigtails. Instead of its dropping their own foolish custom, they each adopted the foolish custom of the other, and the Chinese continued to wear pigtails until they shook off the dominion of the masses in the Revolution of 1911. For those who have enough psychological imagination, it is a good plan to imagine an argument with a person having a different bias. This has a one advantage, and only one, as compared with the actual conversation with opponents. This one advantage is that the method is not subject to the same limitations of time and space. Mahatma Gandhi deployed railways and steamboats and machinery. He would have liked to undo the whole of the Industrial Revolution. You may never have an opportunity of actually meeting anyone who holds this opinion because in Western countries most people take the advantage of modern technique for granted. But if you want to make sure that you are right in agreeing with the prevailing opinion, you will find it a good plan to test the arguments that occur to you by considering what Gandhi might have said in refutation of them. I have sometimes been led actually to my mind to change my mind as a result of this kind of imaginary dialogue. And short of this, I have frequently found myself growing less dogmatic and cocksure through realizing the possible reasonableness of hypothetical opponent. Be very wary of opinions that flatter your self-esteem. Both men and women, 9 times out of 10, are firmly convinced of the superior excellence of their own sex. And there is abundant evidence on both sides. If you are a man, you can point out the most poets and men of science are male. If you are a woman, you can retort that so are most criminals. The question is inherently insoluble, but self-esteem conceals this from most people. We are all, whatever part of the world we come from, persuaded that our own nation is superior to all others. Seeing that each nation has its characteristic merits and demerits, we adjust our standard of values so as to make our the merits possessed by our nation are the real important ones, while its demerits are comparatively trivial. Here again, the rational man will admit that the question is one to which there is no demonstrably right answer. It is more difficult to deal with the self-esteem of man as man, because we cannot argue what the matter with some non-human kind. The only way I know of dealing with this general human concept is to remind ourselves that man is a brief episode in the life of a small planet in a little corner of the universe, and that for aught we know, other parts of the cosmos may contain beings as superior to ourselves as we are to jellyfish. Other passions besides self-esteem are common sources of error. Of this, perhaps the most important is fear. Fear sometimes operates directly by inventing rumors of disaster in wartime or by imagining objects of terror such as ghosts. Sometimes it operates indirectly by creating belief in something comforting, such as the elixir of life or heaven for ourselves and hell for our enemies. Fear has many forms: fear of death, fear of the dark, fear of the unknown, fear of the hurt, and the vague generalized fear that comes to those who conceal from themselves their more specific terrors. Until you have admitted your own fears to yourself and have guarded yourself by a difficult effort of will against their myth-making power, you cannot hope to think truly about many matters of great importance, especially those with which religious beliefs are concerned. Fear is the main source of superstition and one of the main sources of cruelty. To conquer fear is the beginning of wisdom, in the pursuit of truth, as in the endeavor after a worthy manner of life.